Howdy, folks. We're here to talk some horror comics today. This is the Hill House um, title of books. They're under the DC Black Label, which replaced Vertigo. A lot of people were upset when that happened. I personally didn't care because Karen Berger, who is running Vertigo, I don't know if she quit or I don't know what the deal was. She's no longer. She was curating Vertigo. So when it became no longer hers, it was just not the same. And so they replaced it with Black Label, which I kind of thought sucked as a title so far because I read the Batman Damned. It's like a Batman story, not even a good one. I just decided to make it adult by, having Batman naked in it. Woo woo, big deal. And they've done Joker and Harley, and it's just, okay, take Joker, make him a little edgier. Yeah, it's going to sell. You put Joker in anything, it's going to sell, but doesn't make it good. Not always. So this, I decided to give this a shot. I let it go 10 issues, and then I read them all. Mostly because of the thing here called Sea Dogs. This is chapter 1 of Sea Dogs. Now, this is written by Joe Hill. Joe Hill wrote Lock and Key, which I hear is phenomenal, and he wrote Heart-Shaped Box, which I hear is very good. I don't know anything about either of those, having not read them. Other than and he is Stephen King's son. And him and Stephen King are comic book fans. In fact, in the back here, let me get to this here. It's called Red Ink. He talks about the first horror comic that his dad brought home for him. So it's kind of cool knowing that his dad gave him in comic books and now he's a comic book guy. He did not write every book in this whole thing. He wrote Basket Full of Heads, and he writes Sea Dogs. And in Basket Full of Heads, that's easily the best book. They're all 6-issue books. And obviously, since I have 10, I don't have 6 of any of them. There's 4 titles. They started with you'll see what they did. They started with Basket Full of Heads, which was written by Joe Hill, and I read this. I said, oh my God, this is fantastic. It was exciting. It's Woman in Peril, horror. Ends up being she's in a house. Some criminals have escaped prison. And she's in the house with her boyfriend, but it turns out she's now alone. He is gone, maybe dead, maybe not. We don't know. Someone has a finger. It might be his, it might not. We don't know. They say it's his. And it's a house that's decorated. This is all within the first issue and the second issue. It's a little minor spoiler, but it really sets it up. And he even tells you this kind of stuff in the story of what the books are about that you're supposed to read. So in it, he in a book filled, there's a room filled with artifacts like ancient Viking axes and stuff. Well, one of the criminals finds her in the house. And he's going to get her. And she's going to make him tell him, he's going to make her tell him where something is or whatever. It's like there's some money they're after or something. That's why they're doing this. They broke out from prison because they know there's some money hidden and they're going to go get it. I wasn't as excited about the reasons why. I was more excited just the story. It was really tenseful. It was, he's the calls coming from inside the house type of movies and all. Very, very strong, very good. I'll show you the final page. One thing we find out is the axe she gets a hold of is enchanted, and when she cuts someone's head off, and she does that in this, and here's the very last page. She's hiding behind a door, and there they are coming after her. That's the last page. So we know there's a Woman in Peril story going on. And the next issue, she gets a hold of an axe, cuts off someone's head, and the head stays alive. That's why it's the Basket Full of Heads. It's an enchanted axe. And then I'm up to book 4, and there's 6. There's not much more you need to know other than this is so good. Wait till the trade if you want, or pick up just this one. Good stuff. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. He's a good writer, and the art is kind of whimsical in a bit. Very reminiscent of old horror, but also kind of fun. and almost cartoony, and it's funny. The book is also very funny. Um, the heads talk to her. They're silly in a way because they're heads, and half the time they're making jokes about just being heads because you know it's weird, just weird fun. Good book. Then we leads into what is called the Sea Dogs. Now, Sea Dogs had a premise that intrigued the hell out of me. It is using, well, they're not werewolves, they're were-dogs. We've only seen one of them so far, and he looked like a Great Dane, but it's a human. The American, it's during the Revolution, and the British really are tearing us up on the sea in this story. They're keeping all the supplies. We can't get gunpowder from France. We can't get anything. And so we are losing. I don't really know enough about the Revolutionary War to see how historically accurate this is. But at one point, apparently, we're losing. In this story, we're losing on the sea. So bad that we can't hold back on the land because we can't get supplies because France is going to help us and some other countries were going to help us. They can't get them in because Britain is. So what we do is we put these sea dogs on their ships to scare the hell out of them, letting them know, no, we have this. We have werewolves on your ships. Great premise. The problem is the clever idea that they had was they're going to give us 2 pages of this story. Well, the first one they give us 4. And then you get 2 pages per issue. It's a great idea. Great to keep you buying all the books in the series. That's what it did to me. Right now, I don't care. I'm up to 10 issues of Sea Dogs, 10 parts. And the problem is when you read 2 pages and then, and even though I read these all at once, you're waiting a week. Read another story. This one's going to be Dollhouse. You read Dollhouse, you got all this new information, and then you get 2 pages of Sea Dogs. So it's really hard to follow the character build and all that, even though it's kind of neat. I think all together, collected in one run, it'll be worth reading. I think this is too intense of a story to tell in little segments. It needs to be a really simple, silly story that is almost almost like reading Calvin. When you'd read Calvin in the Sunday on the daily strips, by the end of the week, a story was told, but every day you only get 4 panels, and they were fun. And the next day, you get 4 more panels, and they're fun. And by Friday, a story was told. And Saturday, it has a conclusion. It was kind of neat. Anyway, we got Dollhouse. Dollhouse is not by Stephen King or Joe Hill. It's interesting. It's about a dollhouse. The Dollhouse family is what it's actually called. The Dollhouse family. And somehow these little dolls are not animated, but they're possessed. They're people that can talk to certain people. You can not teleport, but like if you go into the doll, you can shrink. If you're the right kid and the right person and they accept you, you can go in the dollhouse and you go out another door. It almost works like House of Mystery where you go into another place. But this one girl, the biggest problem is it covers too many eras. It's showing us in the 1800s how the dollhouse was created, and it's showing a girl growing up today. It goes from the 80s to the 90s or so, where she's an adult with a child of her own. And to me, I was like, okay, this is too much bouncing for such a weird story. It's got to be a little more concise. Like Basket of Heads are very concise, even though there's a lot of mystery to it. I'll finish it up. I mean, it got more solid by issue 3, which is what we're at, and issue 4 comes out next week. So I'm definitely going to get it and read it, but that's it. We got another issue of Basket Full of Heads, which would be part 3 of Sea Dogs. This is how they did it. And as you can see, the art's really fun. Oh, and there's the big scene, which is kind of interesting. This is not really, because here you get it. Why is everything upside down? I can't move. Help, what is it? And she realizes the head's yelling at her. So And that's really not a spoiler because it's really not what the story is about. It's the and then I went to Dollhouse, so we got chapter 4, Basketful of Heads again. For chapter 5 of Sea Dogs, and then we got the Lolo Woods. Lolo Woods is apparently in Pennsylvania on a coal area. That it's not really coal, it's something that's killing everybody and doing things and creating monsters. The catchphrase or whatever, the tagline for this is, if growing up doesn't kill them, the town will. It's okay. It's okay. Enough to keep reading. Again, I'm going to keep reading all of these. They're just good enough. But that's the art. It's pretty decent art. Interesting enough. We'll see by once they all reach 6. And then we get to Dollhouse for the Sea Dogs 7. Now, Daffy Burn. This is the first issue. Jumps in, and I didn't look, it's not on the cover, who did this. But this is about a girl who is making a deal with the devil. Basically, that's all, one of those type of stories. But to me, when I open this up, I looked at it, I start looking at it, and I'm like, wow, that's just gorgeous. Just beautiful art to me. And it took me about page 2. And I'm like, I know why that's so gorgeous. That's Kelly Jones. That can't be. I never heard he was doing one of these. And then sure enough, I get to the title page, art by Kelly Jones. Kelly Jones is a fantastic horror artist. Look at that. That's definitely a Kelly Jones panel. The shadow in her eyes. I think it is. And that's Daffy Burn, which is kind of funny. A lot of people have troubles. I watched a few other videos about these. They don't know how to pronounce her last name. There's a famous comic book writer. His name's John Byrne. We know how to pronounce Burn. But, okay, my little stupid rant. But Kelly Jones, he's a hell of a guy. I've met him at a lot of comic book conventions. He's really into horror. He loves drawing horror, and he's so good at certain... He also draws Batman. He draws the most frightening Batman you've ever seen. He draws the long ears and really weird cave, and he did all the vampire stories, the red, whatever when Batman got bit by Dracula. But to me, I was reading this book and just, I don't know if you're going to like this artwork. He's not the most popular artist out there, so obviously not everyone is enamored by it as me. But I was just I almost have to read it again, because I think the first time I stopped and looked at every panel for so long, I almost forgot what I was reading. I just had to take some of this stuff in. I just love it so much. And here it is. If growing up doesn't kill them, their town will. That's the Lolo Woods. Again, we're only 2 issues into that. We're only 1 issue into this. So that first issue and seeing that Kelly Jones is doing it, I'm getting them. And we got Lolo Woods 2, which was better. And finally, last week came out another Basketful of Heads. We're up to issue 4. It's like, again, I get through those. That's the most concise, most exciting story of these 4 books right now. If anything, I'd recommend Basketful of Heads. I'm holding my recommendation. I 100% recommend Basketful of Heads. 100%. If you've ever asked me about horror, and there's a few of you that have, this is it. This is the current horror book that must grab. The others, we'll see. I'll give them up until at least till 4. If they're this good, well, they won't be this good at 4. But if they're good, I'll say they're grabs. Otherwise, I'd say they're worth a shot. They're not bad books. And the worst things out there, they're not the best. So, okay. Well, that's it for a little look at Hill House Comics. I'm enjoying it now. Next week, I get another... is it another Lolo Woods next week? Or this Wednesday? Or is it... I think it's Dollhouse this Wednesday, so we'll get another installment of Dollhouse. I think it's part 4 of Dollhouse. But this is the one I'm looking forward to. And when they all reach 6, and then there's another Joe Hill book coming. So I don't know how long the Sea Dogs is supposed to run, but we're at chapter 10 of it, and at 2 pages, so we're 22 pages into the story, and I think we saw. Let me see him here. Yeah, this is it. This is what we've seen of the Sea Dog. There he is. 2 panels of a Sea Dog killing everybody on a ship. Which was awesome. I mean, we got to that, and that's it. So, and then one more story about them freaking out. So something was killing them. Not the best backup story. That one, I don't know if that's how long that's supposed to go, and if they have enough Hill House Comics planned to bring that story to a conclusion, we'll see. Anyways, thanks a lot, folks. If you enjoyed this, please like it, please subscribe, and try a new comic. Have some fun. Bye.